How's it going, everybody? Adrian here from the Gaming Observer, and welcome back to your daily news update for Monday, September the 13th. I hope you had a tremendous weekend. Today's show is probably going to be on the shorter side, because there was not a tremendous amount of news. However, there are three things in particular that I want to talk about. There are three games that maybe you haven't heard of that you might want to check out. Before we jump into that, though, I do want to make note that PlayStation is going to be getting a new conference or digital event this upcoming Wednesday. And at this point, they've only really advertised that video games are going to be shown, but the last time that they did that, they actually revealed the PlayStation 5. So basically, the expectation is going to be that they're going to bring the release date and the pricing as a way to match the recent Xbox details. So that's this upcoming Wednesday, September the 16th, if you want to catch that live. If not, I'll be here to recap it as always. Okay, so the first game that I want to tell you about today is called The Unfinished Swan. And this is actually a debut title from the developer Giant Sparrow, and you probably know them from a game called What Remains of Edith Finch. And if you haven't heard of or played that game, I highly recommend it. But either way, The Unfinished Swan, it was up until Thursday, it was an exclusive to PlayStation, but as of last Thursday, it has now been released for PC and iOS, mobile phones. Now, we talked about video game art styles on the show recently, and this absolutely could have been a contender for, most vibrant art styles, where basically the game takes place in an all-white landscape. Absolutely everything is white, and then you actually play through the game by splattering the world with paint. And if you've played What Remains of Edith Finch, then it's pretty reminiscent of that. The game was made like 6 years earlier or something, but either way, if you're interested in a single-player narrative, fairly short, a little experimental, and I believe this game has a lot of puzzle elements to it as well, it's definitely worth checking out. The developers are really well respected. So that's $15 on Steam, American, and $5 on mobile. Once again, The Unfinished Swan. Yet another PlayStation exclusive is now available on PC. This time around, it's Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, originally released on the PlayStation 3 in 2011. Now, if you have never seen the Disgaea series before, it's pretty hard to explain, to be honest. You really need to watch like a trailer or some gameplay or something like that. But just in a nutshell, it's super over the top. It's really well known for its humorous dialogue, just absolutely ridiculous things happening on the screen. And it's all about, get the highest numbers possible. So you want to do as much damage as possible. You want to level up to the max level, which is 9,999. And so the Disgaea series, it's mostly stayed on the PlayStation. However, the first two games have been ported to PC. I think it was a few years ago. And then this is now the first time that Disgaea 4 is making its way to PC. And every piece of content that Disgaea 4 has ever had in the various re-releases is now included in this version. It's got 30 unlockable characters, it's got some extra story campaigns, and it has a map editor. At this time, they don't have any online features, but they are planned to come down the line, such as the ability to share the edited maps that you create. You can create pirate crews, and you can battle in tournaments. So feel free to check that out. Okay, and our final story for today. One of the standout games to be showcased in the last 6 months is the debut title of Ember Lab. It's called Kena: Bridge of Spirits. And the news today is that while it was previously slated for a 2020 release, it has now been pushed to Q1 of 2021. And honestly, there isn't much else to say at this point, but I do want to bring this game back up again, because if you haven't heard of it, you absolutely need to go take a look. Basically, this game looks absolutely beautiful. Ember Lab, the company that's making it, is previously known for actually being an animation studio, not a game studio. And that becomes very, very evident when you look at the trailer that they put together and the various gameplay that they've shown off. I mean, it looks beautiful. So if you haven't yet, please make sure you go check out Kena: Bridge of Spirits. It's going to have a timed exclusive on PlayStation, and then presumably it'll come out elsewhere. But I mean, when we talk about indie studios taking advantage of the powerhouse that these next-generation consoles are going to be, I think this is going to be a really good example of that. Also in the game and in the trailers, they show off like these little tiny black creatures, and they're super cute. They kind of remind me of the Porgs from Star Wars. I mean, not in visual style, but in terms of, being cute. Anyway, that's going to wrap us up for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back with the news tomorrow. So until next time, happy gaming, everyone.